Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lyrata for the Institute for Global Transformation, bringing you today the continued studies within the category or the heading that we have as self-mastery training via ancient wisdom teachings. November 17th, 2024, and we are continuing our lessons today on that which we began about 2 months ago in September, specifically through the seed thoughts, one each month, 7 seed thoughts. We've done the first. Now we're on the second. We're working with one of the 7 divine laws, which is a precursor to the study of the 7 rays. The particular seed thought that we discussed last time, the first one we discussed last time was the power of God may be invoked into manifestation via the focused will to love. In this lesson, we will be discussing and holding in our consciousness as we work through this month the seed thought, the energy of love in the mind produces right understanding or wisdom. So we spoke about will the first time, that was the first seed thought, which corresponds to the first ray, which is all about will, power, divine will, and power. So this particular one is dealing with the energies of divine love, what we also know as divine love wisdom, which is the second aspect. First ray, first aspect. Second ray, second aspect. Third ray, third aspect. And then we go into the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh rays, which are rays of attribute. But we'll be breaking all of that down way in the future. We have a ways to go before we get very technical in the 7 rays itself, which is in itself a life study. Okay, there's a lot that goes into the study of the 7 rays, and I'd like us to bank into it a little bit, because it is such an important study, and it informs us and guides us in so many ways. And I think it's an excellent way for us to understand humanity, and become more tolerant of each other as a result, and create better informed relationships as a result. So, love. Let's talk about love. Definitions of love. One definition would be strong attachment combined with emotion, or sympathetic emotion. Okay. I would add to that the feeling of need, kinship, a burning affection. Another definition, a second definition of love, is that of benevolence, or the aspect of what we would consider a divine love, like the love of mother, a maternal or a parent, okay, Some may not consider, depending on your experience, they may not consider parental love for whatever reasons, whatever their experiences have been. We cannot judge that. The aspect of the Divine Father, the Divine Mother, the benevolence of the Divine Mother who wraps us into her arms, like wraps us into her veil. We are part of her being, as well as all of the other kingdoms. Or the aspect of the paternal love, the love of God in and of itself. Okay. Another definition could possibly be a strong liking or fondness. It could be the love of country or nationalism. Could one consider that love? Yes, one could. Why? Because it's a devotional aspect of love. It's devotional. Or the love of learning. Or a fascination. A fascination. I don't know that I would call that love, but one can become so fascinated with something. I think of my brother, who at that early age of elementary school had a fascination with magic, parlor magic. And he wanted to learn all of the different aspects of the tricks of the trade of magic. And he was pretty good for a while, as he stuck to it. He was pretty good. That was a fascination. He had a love for magic. Then we have sensual love, passionate love. And then we have that love of that being who is a particular target of our affection. Okay? That one that gets dubbed the name babe, honey, love, my love, dear, DEAR. For some cultures, especially Latino cultures, might be reina or rey, king or queen. Or even in English, my king or my queen. We're also aware of the definition of the God of love itself. I would not have thought of this one, but Eros, Cupid, are aspects of some form of definition of love created ages ago. Okay? The planet Venus is known as the feminine energy of love. Okay? Holds the energy of love. So these are some of the more mundane definitions of love. Most people are aware of. And these definitions work for us. We're happy to stay within the boundaries of these definitions as long as we are living within a certain frequency. But as soon as that there's a sense of a new energy, a new awareness, and a desire to learn more, to begin the path of initiation or the lighted way, then deeper definitions of love are necessary. more substantial definitions of love are sought. In order for us to apply and grow. So, entertain these definitions of love. And I'll go through them slowly so that you might write them down or pin them to your mental mind, your mental body. Love is a divine energy, first and foremost, as is will, a divine energy. Love is a constituent part of the one life. Love is a major part of the one life. It is love is an aspect of the one life, a very large aspect of the one life. Love is the magnetic, cohesive, informing, qualifying sun aspect, also known as the Christ, or the Christ principle of the one in whom we find ourselves living, moving, and having our being. Love is the essential energy of which consciousness is made. Love is the reality behind, underlying, and informing. Love is the reality behind, underlying, and informing and sustaining sense, qualifying sense of the I. I. Love is radiatory. Love is altruistic in its nature. It is constructive in purpose. Love builds. Love builds someone from the inside out. Love builds energies within a group. Love causes unity, unification, oneness. Love is the basic law of the universe. It is the cosmic glue that holds energy or everything in relationship to everything else. Be it planets to the sun, or sun to the planets, be it electrons and nuclei, be it stars in space. Let's pause for a moment as we kind of allow those definitions, the higher octave definitions of love, to kind of percolate in our being. It sets a tone, totally different frequency, wherein which we can dwell as a group, especially in these times in which we find ourselves. Let's do a little exercise here. It is not the main meditation. It is an aspect of a mini meditation just for us to realize and to become aware of love, or what we think of as love. Pause a few moments, if you would. Close your eyes and consider the feeling you know as love. Visualize someone very close to your heart. And try to analyze this so-called love you experience in relationship to them. Bring that person to your mind's eye. Look at them as though you're looking at a TV screen in the Ajna Center. Ask yourself, what motivates the feeling of love that I have for X, whoever that person is? Is the love that I have for X an outflowing of energy or an inflowing of energy? What kind of effect does it create? What kind of effect does the love that I have create within your loved one? These questions demand a level of honesty, require a level of honesty. And if you are not willing to be honest with yourself, these questions will be very difficult to answer. Where most people are is most people are in love with or like, prefer that which pleases them. And yet they can be displeased, as we know, by that same person. And when displeased by that same person, we have a tendency to feel that we don't love them as much. Huh? We love them a little less. Or how could this happen with this person that I love? The energy of love, true love, is outflowing. It moves out freely. It does not try to bind. Bind someone. If someone is being bound in love, or let's just call it what it is, manipulated, you cannot have manipulation in love. That's not love. That's power over. And that level of love will fail at some point in time. It's just a given. Once that person wakes up and decides they no longer want to operate under those agreements. Love makes no demands on another. It never decreases in quantity or quality because of a weakness or a mistake or a vice or a failure or fault. At some point, we all then become exhausted. Um, when love, which is really not love, okay, when something that is called love is creating constant suffering, disappointment, unhappiness. These are the aspects of what we know as emotional love. At some point in time, we tire of that, especially when we are interested in walking the lighted way. Or we are beginning to work within our world from higher levels, and there's a call for us to focus from the aspect or into the aspect of the soul. So at that point, we kind of turn away from that aspect of that story of emotional love and shift our attention to the spiritual world, the world of the Christ principles, which really is an aspect of love as cause. It's causal aspect of love. That's when we begin to realize, or the world or the awareness of being created by love, for love, comes to us. That love exists all around us, everywhere. There is no place that love is not. Even in the most horrific even in the most horrific of experiences, there is love. That love is the nature of the divine. It's the nature as well of the Christ. And that nature of the divine in the Christ lives within each one of us. Our job is to be able to reach up and call that wisdom down, call that energy of love down into our being, into our mental mind. Calling it down, the process of calling down is called invocation. We invoke the energy of the Christ principle. We invoke the energy of the Christ because Christ represents love. Remember, that second aspect is soul, consciousness, Christ, divine love, wisdom. All part of the same. So invocation, calling it down, is calling down the active play of the deity which overshadows an individual or a group of individuals. That's invocation. We call something down. We know we need it. So we reach up into that higher mind and we call it down. It's a frequency. Evocation is, once we've called it down, is calling it forth into outward expression of that divine potential latent within our being because we've called it down. So what we do once we call it down and we are beginning to evoke that which has been invoked is we bring it into the mind, divine love, love, the Christ principle, love in and of itself. We call it into our being, into the mind, into the emotional body, and then into the physical etheric body. And once we do that, we're flooding each one of those areas with allowing those areas to be flooded with love, the energy of love that we connected with in the invocative appeal that we created, calling love down. Okay? And then we can ask, once we have brought it into our system, we can ask to be guided by that love. Guided in a way to understand that love, to be able to embody that love, to create the effects of love, to better express and convey love and its cohort truth. So we are moving the energy, or requesting that the energy, we bring it down and then we move it out into our environment. We never keep it just stored here. It has to be utilized. Okay? And know that once we invoke an energy in our meditative moments, know that that energy is coming at some point in time. How soon? One could never be sure, but here's the deal. When we invoke something, it is our responsibility to utilize that something that we've invoked. If we do not use it, then we are not utilizing that which we've asked for. Invoking and utilizing that which we have invoked creates what is known as invocative strength. Or invocative appeal. If we invoke and we receive the something that we've asked for and then we sit on it, we really have no grounds for further invocation. We just don't invoke to have energy sitting on a mental library, mental bookshelves. No, we can't do that. That will set up illness in the long run. It'll set up currents that are not completed, okay? It'll set up blocks in our being. But the aspect of being able to invoke the energy of love, specifically in this case, and we move it downward and outward, that helps us to detach from old patterns, old concepts of what we thought love was, or what we were the way we were using love in the past, and it helps us to grow and evolve into something more. We begin to see new patterns that we can apply and use and share and model, embody and model in our world, in our environment, and other people then to get it. We create new ideas. And as a result, we begin to rise, grow, evolve. And isn't that why we're here? We don't fall into love. We rise into love. We lift our portion of earth, meaning our portion of awareness, our portion of consciousness, into its higher octaves. And we bring heaven down to earth. We don't just see them separated, we see them combined. In one of the teachings, the more advanced teachings, it is said that love produces comprehension. It allows us to relate many experiences, creating patterns, evolving, evolution, and finally, productive thought. That before one can wield the power of love, one has to show that they are able to comprehend and understand love to the extent that they can create harmony out of conflict. We have to become a healing force, in essence. And healing is another aspect of love, another definition of love, the ability to heal. So it's in a way what it is we have known again, I'm talking now simply about our mental and intellectual focus. What it is we know about our mind, our mental abilities, and our intellect is somewhat limited based on results. What we show here, especially in the United States, as being mental achievements or intellectual achievements are things like being able to retain information and spit it out quickly, like in these quiz shows, or IQ tests, hold on to information and hunt and peck the right answer. It's about being the brightest and the fastest for data retention. And that's really not what our minds and education is all about. Our educational system, as it is, or as it has been, limits, creates fear and resentment, polarizes, separates, alienates based on differences in color, sect, religion, class. All based on prejudices. And prejudice will not create harmony. There is no love in prejudice. It will not create understanding. It will not create right relationships between people because it's designed to separate. And isn't that what we are seeing right now? Isn't it what we have seen for during the entire Piscean age. We have to realize, people, how much we're being controlled and divided into many segmented groups. We are being controlled by a very small group of people for their ends, in essence. There is no as I was told yesterday in my meditation, there is no east, west, north, or south. There is no up or down, in or out. There is no right, wrong, above, below. There is no heaven, hell. I and you, us and them. There is only oneness. All is one. And when we can begin to live and move and have our being from that level of awareness, without any doubt whatsoever, then we will be connecting in with the oneness that is God. We will be seeing things from totally different perspectives. All the separations and the segmentation is there in order to polarize, separate. We have to begin to move and see things now from different levels. I think we've probably gone almost as far as we can go at this point in that matrix. There are groups of people who are dedicated to fostering fear, creating a world where evolution can be had only through pain and fear, or pain and suffering. People who are dedicated to eliminating each other for whatever reasons. And many of them are devoted to their opinions, their beliefs. They swear by them. They just know they're right, holding on to these opinions. And yet, we are all one. So it's, where does one want to stand? We can stand in the separation and be at the tug and pull of the different tides and currents that run there, constantly being battered or bashed one way or the other, one direction or another. Or we can rise above it into the oneness where there is no duality. And experience something new. The seed thought for this lesson again is the energy of love in the mind produces right understanding and wisdom. Now, let's talk about the energy of love in the mind. We know the energy of love in the heart. We're used to that. That is that sentimental type of love, the emotional. We feel the ebbs and flows of that energy. But there's also, that's the emotion, as I said, the emotional aspect of love. But there's also love in the mind, a mental love, without the sentimentality. And as we are as we are working toward a mental polarization, there are several laws that will help us to understand this particular law. The energy of love in the mind produces right understanding and wisdom, the second of the divine laws. So let's look at these three laws. First one is the law of attraction. We've heard a lot about the law of attraction. The definition here may be slightly different than what you're used to. Love, like will, is magnetic. But to a different degree. The will to be, when focused, attracts all that is related to an intent. Okay? The will to be, whatever, is the intent. And that particular intent, when focused in the mind, attracts all that is related to that intent, whether good or bad, desirable or not. And what one attracts has to be dealt with as a result. One has to use discrimination and discernment to be able to know what one really needs to pay attention to. What one attracts has to be dealt with by the inner consciousness of the one involved through discernment and discrimination. That usually sets up a scenario of choices. This way, this path, that path. Is this right or is this wrong? Instead of dealing with that bounce of this way or that way, what one can do is to use that energy of love, flood love through the mind, and that love in the mind will automatically, suddenly light up the way as to what's the right way to go. That's power. Remember, it was said that the focused will to be, one has an intent, and one wills it to be. That focused will to be attracts all that's related to that intent. And that movement is absolutely necessary because it teaches us about the pairs of opposites. It teaches us how to recognize and work with the pairs of opposites. And pairs of opposites, if you remember, back in earlier lessons, pairs of opposites are those opposites that repel each other. We were talking about the duality a little earlier. Okay? Pairs of opposites. So we have to be able to, that discrimination and discernment is necessary to teach us how to work with these pairs of opposites that come into our lives in order to be dealt with, because we have an intent. There's something we're seeking to do. And that magnetic energy of love has automatically attracted the good and the bad to that intent. That was law number one, the law of attraction. Law number two is the law of repulsion. Repulsion. As love attracts, it also repels. Interesting. So love absorbs, it radiates, and it repels. As love attracts, it also repels. On the level of the soul, love holds away from the form-building aspect. Okay, let's break that down. When we hold an intention, there's something we seek to create. We call that a form-building activity. We, as I've said before, are the creative arm of the planetary logos, or our God as we know it. We are the creative arm. We have been given the right and the gift to create. We can create, and we do create all kinds of things. But our true job is not to create anything and everything we could possibly think of, but to create those forms that the divine plan can work through. So we seek to be creators in alignment with the divine. Is this right action? Is this my personality or my soul's call? Is creating this in alignment with the divine plan? And we have to take that into meditation to find out. Okay? So, law of repulsion. The soul, on the level of the soul, love holds away for the form-building activity to block anything that is not in accord with that plan. Okay? As love is projected through the mental, astral, and physical etheric, it repels all thoughts that are not in harmony with the focused intent, or that which we are seeking to create. That's the repulsion aspect. It repels all thoughts. So you're thinking of creating something, you already know what it is you want to create. You've taken time to consider all the components that are necessary for the creation. And before you've even taken time to do all of that, you've checked in with the divine to determine whether or not this is in alignment with the divine plan. As love is projected through the mental, astral, physical, etheric, love repels all thoughts that are not in harmony with the focused intent. That's a power. Love is radical. 3, the law of integration. Love itself is, the energy of love is cohesive. It attracts into right relationship all the many parts of the whole, and it causes these parts to cohere to each other. As long as a plan is conceived in love, it will grow into a complete, unified whole. And when this happens, truth is seen, understanding comes, or can come in a flash of insight. The law of integration. And this truth is integrated into the mind and then the subconscious of the individual itself. It becomes a living part of the being of the creator, the one who has created that particular intent, that thing. These 3 laws create clarity, order, harmony and understanding, right relationship, right understanding. And it becomes like a light in the brain that brings light to any concept, any situation, or any problem. Now, there are a few aids, tools, so to speak, that one can use, supplemental aids that are used to help shift into this level of mental polarization. Number 1, practice calling down the energy of love from that of from the divine, from the Christ principle, through your consciousness and into your mind, and then flood your body with it. See the energy as a blue, white, golden light. The energy of love comes in through the sun, the energy of the sun, and through the energy of the Christ. So you can utilize either of these. That which is closest to us, of course, is the energy of the Christ. Also known in Egyptian pantheon as Horus. Okay. And there are other equivalencies throughout all of the different Maitreya. Could also call in the energy of Maitreya. Number 2. So let me go back over number 1 again. Calling in the energy of love through your consciousness into your mental, astral, physical, etheric being, flooding your energy, your being with this light, seeing it first and foremost in your consciousness as blue, white, golden light. Allow that to fill the consciousness and begin to spill over into the mind, filling that up and then spilling over into the emotional or astral body. Feel that love spilling or filling up your entire being, your brain, your mental, your astral, your emotional, or your physical, rather, physical etheric. Then direct the energy of love with the mind. See those you love and those you have difficulty loving, and direct that energy of love to your mind, with your mind, and with an outgoing motion. Okay, so see those you love and see those you have difficulty loving. You've already brought the energy of love into your consciousness, into your 3 lower worlds, rather. And now you're directing. See those you love and see those that are hard to love, those you have difficulty loving, and flood the energy of love out to all of those people, groups, everywhere. And make sure that that movement of love goes outward and does not return to you. It goes one way, outward, to everybody. And 3, see love moving outward always from you to all relationships, acting as it does so as an unknown source of strength, stability, healing, and transmutation for all those to whom you send this energy out to. Isn't that a blessing? Isn't that a blessing? You're blessing. That's a blessing. You are blessing people with love. 4, with love anchored in the mind, control all emotional responses related to love as it affects the race mind consciousness, so that they relate love as cause in the mind. So, with love anchored in the mind, control all emotional responses related to love. With love anchored in your being, control all emotional responses related to love as it affects the race mind consciousness, so that they relate love as cause, not as effect, but that they relate love as the cause. Whoa. Wow. The energies are strong. And 5, send love in the mind to all situations, circumstances, issues, problems that humanity is working with today. So bring up all of the issues that humanity is working with today, everywhere, and send love in the mind, not in the heart, love in the mind to all situations, circumstances, issues, and problems. And again, it is all outflowing. It doesn't come back to you. Okay? It's all. The meditation I would like us to do is called Radiating Divine Love. So let's put it to practice. Let's prepare for meditation. Again, meditation we want to do sitting up. We do not lie down for meditation. Because a vertical spine is absolutely necessary for meditation. The coordinates of a vertical spine create a totally different experience than when one is laying down flat. Become physically relaxed and comfortable. Take a deep breath. And as you release it, become physically relaxed and comfortable. Take another deep breath. And upon releasing it, become emotionally calm and serene. Ask your nervous system to create a sense of relaxation in the physical and in the emotional body, secondly, you want to look out at your emotional body, seeing it as a pool of water. And notice the surface of the water. And what does the surface of that water look like? Seek to smooth the surface of that water. Making it smooth and glassy. And reflective of the sun. Become mentally poised with a deep breath. And as you release it, become mentally poised and alert, awake and aware And focus the consciousness in the ajna center between the brows and 3 inches beyond the brow. And there integrate your threefold persona, body, emotions, and mind, into a unit in aspiration to the overshadowing spiritual soul. Slowly move back along a line of golden light into the tiny blue-white sun in the middle of the head, about 2 to 3 inches behind the eyes. There integrate the threefold soul, your animal soul, your human soul, and your spiritual soul into a single unit in aspiration to the Christ. As the integrated soul in the center of the head, aspire to the source of divine love. Second aspect, of the Trinity. As the soul, aligned with the source of divine love, invoke that love into the center of the head and radiate it outward into your environment by audibly sounding the seed thought. Divine love flows through me into my environment. Allow this seed thought to sound for at least 3 minutes. Divine love flows through me into my environment. Listen for the silent sound of that seed thought within that seed thought. The tone, its frequency. And allow that sound to radiate Now, audibly sound the Om. We leave the alignment with the soul and of the soul, with the one life in place. We allow that alignment with the soul to stand within the one life in place, and we gradually relax the attention and return to normal focus. With that, we end this session. There's a lot for you to dwell on, incorporate, move into, practice, and within this next month, before we move on to the next seed thought, number 3. I thank all of you for your focus here. I pray and hope that all of these teachings are reaching you and feeding you in some way that is positive, constructive, strong, lifting you into new levels of awareness and helping you to carry lighter frequencies and to sustain you through these times that we're in. I thank the Institute for Global Transformation for the ability for me to do this with them, for them, and for you. Again, thank you so much. Have a super, super, super month. Stay wide open, receptive, and aware, because much is changing right before our eyes, and we are all a part of it. And we have something very important to contribute, especially in regards to love, the soul, the energies of the Christ, moving away from separation and duality into unity, oneness. Take good care until the next time. Much love.